The Community Players Theater of Bloomington is mourning the loss of a dear friend this weekend. In a social media post, the CPT announced that longtime member Bruce Parrish passed away on Saturday morning. Parrish had worked with the CPT for more than 40 years, sometimes as an actor, sometimes director, sometimes president, but always as a friend, a leader, and a mentor to a new generation of actors. He also worked for a long time as a teacher at Washington Grade School in Bloomington. At the time of his passing, he had been part of 180 different plays in multiple capacities and was serving the theater as its historian. Their stage is named for Bruce, as well as his wife, Kathy. In their post, the CPT writes, quote, "Bruce, we will keep your light alive and make sure your legacy lives on, to serve the people, theater, and community you so loved. We won't ever let your story end."